Good evening. This is a regularly scheduled meeting at Kettering City Council. Today's date is May the 11th. And as always, we'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And before we begin tonight's meeting, we'll pause for a brief invocation. Thank you for all who serve the Kettering community. Give us enthusiasm for our work and wisdom to make the right decisions. May we remain humble and grateful for the opportunity to lead. Guide this council so we may continue to serve our citizens with integrity and purpose, always remembering to be worthy of these responsibilities entrusted in us by our residents. Before we begin tonight's agenda, we have an amendment. The applicant in item number 1 on the agenda, the hearing in Planning Commission case number 21-002, zoning district map amendment, requested that the hearing be rescheduled. Is there a motion to amend the agenda by removing item number 1 and rescheduling it to the May 25th council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. Ms. Fisher has an excused absence this evening, so we'll move on to approval of the minutes, April 27th, 2021, council meeting and workshop minutes. Mr. Lauder.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have reviewed the minutes from both meetings, the council meeting and the workshop from April 27th. I have found both in order and therefore move for their approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Being none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Lauder?
Yes.
Mr. Wanamaker?
Yes.
Mr. Duke?
Yes.
Mr. Klepass?
Yes.
Mayor Patterson?
Yes. Moving on to public comment on legislation. Anyone wishing to speak before council with comments or new information about legislation on tonight's agenda may do so at this time. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Speakers must state their name and address. Comments should be addressed to council. If you have comments that are not about legislation on tonight's agenda, there will be an opportunity for those to be heard later in the meeting. Is there anyone like to speak on regards to legislation on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to ordinances in second reading. We have none, so we'll begin with resolutions. Vice Mayor Klepass.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for fireworks for the annual Go Forth event. The estimated cost is $45,000. The funds are available. It's requested by Parks, Recreation, and Culture Arts Department. I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Sweeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you know, we have decided to have our Go Forth celebration this year, which includes our fireworks, and this legislation will allow us to receive bids and enter into contracts for that celebration. We estimate the cost to be $45,000, and the funds are budgeted. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Sweeterman? Being none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Klepass?
Yes.
Mr. Lauder?
Yes.
Mr. Wanamaker?
Yes.
Mr. Duke?
Yes.
Mayor Patterson?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for updates to the Kettering Fire Department's siren alert system. Estimated cost is $32,639. The amount budgeted is $45,964.36. It's being requested by our fire department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Sweeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor. This will allow us to start the repair process to our emergency siren system. As you know from previous legislation earlier this year, we have received FEMA hazard mitigation grant funds through the Ohio Emergency Management Agency in the amount of $24,479. The state of Ohio and the city of Kettering will each provide $4,080 towards the project. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Sweeterman? Being none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Lauder?
Yes.
Mr. Wanamaker?
Yes.
Mr. Duke?
Yes.
Mr. Klepass? Mayor Patterson?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to advertise for bids and to contract for the renovation of the Rosewood Arts Center. Estimated cost is $1,685,000, and it is budgeted, and I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Streeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I can't get used to you sitting back there. I keep looking over in
I
there.
have moved on you this evening. This resolution will allow us to advertise for bids and contracts for the Rosewood Arts Center renovation. As you know, the first phase of the Rosewood Arts Center renovation is included in our 2021 capital improvement program. We anticipate a three-phase project running through 2023. The funding for this project also includes $450,000 of grant funds from the state of Ohio. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Streeterman? Being none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Wanamaker,
Yes.
Mr. Duke,
Yes.
Mr. Klepass, Mr. Lauder,
Yes.
Mayor Patterson.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution to make supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Kettering, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31, 2021, specifically from the General Fund, Police Department, $47,100, transfers from other funds, $8,900, from the American Rescue Plan Act Fund, $200,000, from the Police Pension Fund, $8,900. Total cost is $256,000 net transfer. Amount budgeted is zero, requested by the Finance Department. I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Streeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a 2021 supplemental appropriation. The appropriation of $47,100 for the police department and $8,900 for the police pension fund is the result of the additional funds required for the recently negotiated collective bargaining agreement with the Police Supervisors Union. In 2021 budget, we had budgeted for a 0% increase, and as you know, we have entered into a contract for 2021 at 2.5%. So those funds will cover the cost of the first year of that three-year contract. We are also moving $200,000 from our Capital Improvement Program Fund into the American Rescue Plan Fund for the touchless faucets project that we will be completing this summer, and that cost is $200,000. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Streeterman? Being none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Duke,
Yes.
Mr. Klepass,
Yes.
Mr. Lauder,
Yes.
Mr. Wanamaker,
Yes.
Mayor Patterson.
Yes. Moving on to ordinances in first reading. Mr. Klepass, Vice Mayor Klepass.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have an ordinance in first reading to enact Chapter 125 of the codified ordinances regarding city council compensation. It's requested by the council office. It's first reading.
Mr. Streeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor. This ordinance would enact Chapter 125 of the codified ordinances regarding city council compensation. Subsection 3-5B1 of the city charter provides that council may increase or decrease the compensation of its members or the mayor by an ordinance adopted in any odd-numbered year no later than June 1st, provided that no increase in compensation shall be effective during the term of office of the mayor or council members in which such vote is taken. Said more off the cuff, I guess. Chapter 125-01 will be enacted for the term beginning January 21st, 2022 for the mayor's compensation, amending that compensation from $12,000 to $18,000 annually. Section 125-02 would be for the at-large council members and effective for their term beginning on January 1st, 2022. At-large council members' compensation would go from $8,000 annually to $12,000. Section 125.03 would be for district council members, effective with their term beginning January 1st, 2024. District council members' pay would increase from $8,000 to $12,000. And then we would also enact Section 125.04 for supplementary benefits, that the mayor and council may purchase voluntary life insurance through the city's group plan at their own expense, no cost to the city. The mayor and members of council will not receive any other supplementary benefits. Your Honor, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions of Mr. Sweeterman? Thank you. Next, moving on to certifications and petitions. Ms. Kaczynski.
Your Honor, we do not have any certifications or petitions this evening.
Thank you. City Manager report, Mr. Sweeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor. A few items for you this evening. First, just a reminder that our city income tax filing deadline is May 17th this year, so next Monday. We do have forms available on our city website at ketteringoh.org. We also have forms available in both our north and south buildings here at the Government Center at 3600 Schroyer Road. And our tax staff is preparing returns for walk-in customers. The tax office, again, is located in the north building at our Government Center complex on Schroyer Road. This slide, just to make you aware of a program being administered with United Way and Montgomery County, but more particularly the United Way Help Link 211. If you need assistance in paying your rent, you can contact the United Way. The spring leaf pickup program has been completed. We've made our one run through the city to pick up leaves this summer. We do remind our residents that our yard debris center is open on Woodman Center Drive, and residents can also go to the Montgomery County Solid Waste Facility on Encrete Drive in Moraine. Neighborhood Pride will once again be taking place in 2021, honoring our residents who have made significant improvements in the maintenance of their properties and maintain their homes impeccably throughout the years. To learn more on how to nominate a neighbor, you can visit the city's website or call our volunteer office at 296-2433. The Kettering Leadership Academy will again be taking place in 2021, beginning later this year. Applications can be found on our website. And just a reminder that Memorial Day, the Kettering City offices will be closed on May 31st, and the Rumpke Refuse and Recycling Service will also be delayed by one day that week. And finally, Your Honor, just a reminder, as we've been reminding everyone every 2 weeks here in the council chambers, is that our Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Department is currently hiring for seasonal employees. We need employees for all summer activities at this point, whether it be the water park, our camps, our Freights Pavilion, and any number of other operations that we have this summer. So we encourage residents, young and old, to apply on our website at Play Kettering. We are certainly looking forward to more applications to fill those positions. Your Honor, that's all I have for you tonight for the community update. Be happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions of Mr. Sweeterman? Next, we'll move on to audience participation, point in program. If you'd like to come speak before council, please come on down to the podium. We do have a 5-minute limit, and we ask you give us your name and address. Sure.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Trezak, and I'm at 4524 Royal Ridge Way here in Kettering. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm the new Executive Director of the Dayton Metro Library and proud resident of the city of Kettering now. I am a native Daytonian. I grew up in Old North Dayton. My family still lives in Riverside and Tip City and Huber Heights as well. But I've been away for 25 years. So I'm back and very eager to work with all of you to help to provide the support that the community needs and the enhanced library services that I know that they've grown used to and expect. So again, I just wanted to say hello to all of you, put a name to a face, and say that I look forward to working with all of you going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. You reached out last week, and we had a good conversation and everything. So
You were the first person I called.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Well,
Nice.
you are a Kettering resident, so you know.
Excellent guest editorial in the paper the other day.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Nice to have you here.
Anyone else like to come speak before council? Sure. Come on down.
I'm Larry Maloney. I live at 927 East Dorothy Lane here in Kettering. And I took advantage of Kettering's compost program. Put compost in my front yard and along the area between the curb and the sidewalk. And my beautiful lawn turned into weeds. I didn't make the association for a few years, and it looked so bad, I dug up 2 years ago the area between the curb and the sidewalk, that narrow strip, dug it down 8 inches, filled it up with Kettering's compost, put new sod over it. Again, it was beautiful. The next spring, started growing weeds back again. That's when I made the connection. I then talked with a couple of gentlemen who dumped the compost at the site over there off Stroop. And I said, you know, you're supposed to heat that up to kill the weeds. And he said, well, yes, we do. We heat it up. I said, to what temperature? He said 120 degrees. That's not high enough. It takes a minimum of 130 degrees. Elaine Ingram is the world's foremost authority on composting. She did her PhD in that. She teaches it to municipalities. She teaches it to countries. And I wrote to her and explained the scenario. She emailed me back and said, that's not compost. It has to be heated to a minimum of 130 degrees to kill the weeds. What your city's making is rotted vegetation. I want you all to know that. If that's your intent, fine. And last year, the year before, I emailed not this information, but a general inquiry to my, I guess it's a district representative, District 1. I'm east of, I'm east of Ackerman on Dorothy. And I can't even read the map. When you enlarge it, it doesn't have any resolution, so I don't know what district I'm in. But I emailed one of the gentlemen, never heard back from him. But one of my interests is to find out the history of this program. Is this a government-funded thing? Is it something the city's paying for? I mean, I'm curious, if you want to make good compost, there's a protocol you have to follow, and it involves, believe it or not, putting manure in it or something else with nitrogen in it to heat it up. And lacking that, it's not going to heat up, and you've got weed seeds in it. I've got, you know, I'm an organic gardener, and my weeds will come up, and in the summer I get dandelions that would shoot up like that overnight. That's before I used your compost. But I only had maybe 8 or 10 of them, and in the spring I'd pluck them out of my yard. After I used the compost, the city compost, it was full of dandelions, but it was a different variety. They come up about that high, and my mower on the lowest setting doesn't even cut them. My backyard, where I threw the leftover compost, I got a patch of tomatoes growing. So that's what you're giving to people, and it's really not fair. Now that you're aware of it, you have an opportunity to upgrade. You might want to write down Elaine Ingram's name. She trains people. By the way, I even asked about the training for your people making the compost. What I was told was someone in Waynesville trained them, and they pay like $1,500 or $2,500 for somebody to be trained on compost. I called the Waynesville, the city. I called some other officials down there. Nobody knows of anyone in Waynesville who teaches composting. So as it is now, it's a grade below compost, and the citizens of Kettering deserve to know that. And we have all over the place trucks running around doing lawn service, and Kettering could be getting a commission off that because they're creating a lot of business for them.
Well, that's our intent, so.
It's working.
No, that's the first we've heard of it. I mean, our compost, it's our leaves, isn't it? I mean, it's the leaves that we pick up.
Yeah, I'll be happy to address it. And
Yeah.
of course, the founder of our compost program sits on city council, so he may know more than I do. But this is a program we instituted several decades ago now at this point. And it is, as you know, a collection of our leaves and debris that comes in throughout the year at our yard debris site and our leaf collection program. And then we haul over to what I simply call the leaf site over at Miami Valley Research Park on the far eastern edge of the park. The compost is created out of that. And then we haul back from that site to where Mr. Maloney picked it up at, as he mentioned, on Stroop Road. So I certainly appreciate his comments, and I'll talk to our public service director and see exactly what it is we're doing and where that training came from.
We have two kinds of mulch, do we not? We have a more coarse mulch and then
You have one product you call mulch. I use
Mulch.
that. You have another product you call compost.
Okay.
I use that. By the way, I still use, I'm not on the record, I guess, but I put it in my garden.
Yeah.
2 inches of it. Now that I know what it is, like I say, I'm an organic farmer. I know how to deal with it for a gardener. Now I put down a layer of cardboard. I get from food supply. That keeps the weeds from growing up. Then I get your mulch and I put that on the cardboard so it looks normal like any other
Right,
garden.
right.
It's weed-free, and the worms eat it, and that's really what makes the soil rich, the worms eating the rotted vegetation. But technically, you're misleading the public, telling them you're
Yeah,
getting compost.
okay. So the mulch is fine, it's the compost. Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I like it when I come to these meetings and learn something. So, yeah, I had not heard that. So, thank you. Anyone else like to come speak for council? We'll move on to council committee reports. Begin with Vice Mayor Klepaz.
Thank you, Your Honor. Last Thursday, the 6th of May, we had our monthly meetings at MVRPC, the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. We have been Zooming for well over a year, those meetings. We have over 70 people that participate on that call/meeting. And part of the discussion this week was when are we going to get back to face-to-face meetings? And so the planning had started for face-to-face meetings, and I think late summer, early fall, we'll be getting together with 70 or more people at a face-to-face meeting. All that being said, it reminds me that as pandemic restrictions are being lifted and Zoom meetings are going to be replaced by face-to-face, it's time to go out to eat a little bit more now and support your local Kettering restaurants. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Lauder. Everybody's seated different.
Thank you, Your Honor. At the last council meeting, we found out that the city of Kettering hosted the every 2-year Miami Valley Bike Summit. And it was kind of an unusual time this year because of COVID. And last week, we held the summit. It was virtual. We had a national speaker. Your Honor, you were kind enough to do a virtual welcoming. And there were meetings all day long using a software package. This coming Friday, we will host part of the summit, and it will be bike rides throughout the city of Kettering. There will be organized tours. But the nature of last week's work was very challenging, and we had a number of city employees that went above and beyond the call of duty to allow that thing to take place, and I'd like to recognize them. Andy Ite last week spoke. He was a driving force for this, but we also had support from Brad Wallner, Chris George, Drew Corbett, Gary Slusher, Lindsay Curry, Mary Asbill, Mary Lou Randolph, Mary Beth Odell, and Nick Sorsey, and also an awful lot of help from Carl at MVCC. And without everyone's work, we wouldn't have been able to pull that off. No one's ever had to do a virtual summit before. And so everybody's efforts made it very successful, and I wanted to publicly acknowledge everybody. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Wanamaker.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I've been away from the leaf mulch program for 18 years, but I think I learned a little something. I'm going to look into that, and I thought it was interesting comments, and I'd be very interested in what Mark finds out about it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Duke.
I have no report, Your Honor.
Yeah, just a couple things. Welcome Andrea White, our state representative for Kettering, lives in Kettering. So, Andrea, thank you. Just a couple things. Bill talked about the bike summit and the bike riding that's coming up this Friday. You can visit the site at summit.com for details if you'd like to participate and see what it is, et cetera. So it's a good opportunity to take a tour of Kettering. Bill will be leading it. Andy will be leading some of the tours and all. So, and also just kind of a final thing that hopefully we're getting back to somewhat normal. You've heard us talk about doing things at the Phrase, opening up the rec center, opening up the splash pad, looking to do the fireworks display this year. And while we would love to open things up full throttle and all, that isn't most likely going to be the case. But it's going to begin to take that first step forward in reopening the city and all the events that we love and cherish in this community. So bear with us. We're working with the governor's office and some of the restrictions that we have. We are opening the Latham Center the 17th, Monday, I guess it is. While there be some limited hours, we are trying to get all of your favorite venues open. And so hopefully next year in May, we'll be talking about things that are back to normal. But this is a good first step, and we look forward to that. So with that, if there's no other business to come before us this evening, our next regularly scheduled meeting is May the 25th. And with that, we stand adjourned. Well, I know where we're going.
Let's go.
Going.